Today's lesson is going to be how to make this absolutely fabulous neck warmer. There's something really special about this neck warmer. It's also a beanie. How awesome is that? It's got the tie at the top, and you can adjust the cuff to the size that you want it. It's very adjustable, and you can make these from kiddie sizes up to adults. Now I have to admit, this beanie is not my design. Well, it is my design, but the idea wasn't mine to start with. Bethintx1 has this absolutely awesome video on how to make a beanie, basically the same as this, but using slip stitches instead of half double crochets. And I thought to myself, me being very impatient, I couldn't make the whole thing out of slip stitches because it would take too long. So I decided to make it with half double crochets. So I'll definitely put Bethintx1's video in the boxes below, the link for her video, because it's really good as well. But if you wanted a different version, you can also make this. From my understanding, the pattern isn't originally Bethintx's. It's another lady, so if I can find the link to her original pattern, and it's a written pattern, I'll put that also in the boxes below so you guys can follow the link. So what we need to do is, we need to make a chain that will go from the top of our head, so the crown of our head up the top here, and then it needs to come down the side. This is obviously how long your beanie is going to be. Now I like my beanie to sit about covering my ears, so at the bottom of my ears. And then we need about 2 inches, and that is going to be the cuff that is on our beanie. Now it probably doesn't make any sense at the moment, but you just need it from the crown of your head down the side. I'm not stretching this chain either. Going down the side to where you want your beanie to sit, and then adding about 2 inches so that we have a cuff to turn up on our beanie. So that is the length that I need my chain. Your chain is going to probably have less on it because I'm using a thin wool and a 4mm crochet hook. Now this is what our project's eventually going to look like, and I've actually used 2 balls of yarn at the same time to get this. It's nice and thick. I'm going to demonstrate with just the one, just because so it's easier for you guys to see what we're doing. So yeah, nice and thick there, and it's got the ribbed effect. So let's continue on. So after you have your chain, as long as you need it, we're going to be working with half double crochets. You can use a single crochet if you like, completely up to you, or you can use a half double crochet like I am. So we need to go to the second chain from our hook. So that's wrapping for our half double crochet. We wrap our yarn, go into the chain, pulling up a loop. We have 3 on our hook, pulling up a loop, and pulling through all 3. That is a half double crochet. And by the way, do you like my nails? Aren't they awesome? Did them yesterday. And yes, they are my natural nails. So on with the lesson. So what we're going to do is put a half double crochet into every stitch across on our chain. So wrapping our yarn, going into our next chain stitch, pulling up a loop. We have 3 on our hook, yarning over, pulling through all 3. So we want to do this all the way across till we get to the other end. So working into our last chain space with our half double crochet or your single crochet, depending on which stitch you chose to use, we have our first row, and as you can see, I've shrunk down my chain a bit so that it's easier for demonstrations. And this first row, or maybe the first couple of rows, is going to try to curl. Don't worry, it will lay flat after we put more rows in. Okay, now to get this ribbed effect here, what we need to do is work into our back loops only. So chaining 2 and turning, we're going to be working into the second stitch. So wrapping our yarn, and we're going to be working in the back loops only. So we're going to be working through there. Now normally we work into the front of the stitch, and you will have 2 on the top there. We're going to only be working through those back loops and then completing your stitch as normal. So I'll do that again, back loop only, going into the top where the V's are here, going into that back loop and completing your stitch as normal. And we want to repeat that all the way across to the other side. Now when we're coming up to our end, we want to make sure we do go into our last stitch. I've got 2 stitches left here. I have this stitch here and then our chain from the previous row. So working into the top of the second last stitch. And now we still want to get the chain, otherwise if we don't, it is going to end up looking like a triangle rather than straight side. So getting to the end of our row now, we need to chain up 2, and every row is going to be the same from now on until we get it long enough. So working into the back stitches only, back loops only, repeating this across the row and then chaining 2, and then just continue on until it is long enough, and I'll show you how to get it and you'll know how it is long enough. So I've finished off my piece. As you can see, it's pretty wide. We were crocheting along this edge and it's just got longer and longer. Now the crocheted edge that you have crocheted across, so the short edge, is the height of your beanie. And what we want to do is, this is how you'll know it's big enough. Put it on your head. My hair's actually in a ponytail at the moment. So with your hair down, preferably. Want to wrap it around, I don't know, it just looks stunning, until it can be joined there to make our beanie. I think that's a good look. So there's our seam. So just so it's long enough to be able to go around our head. I'm stretching that a little bit because I want it nice and snug when it sits on my head. And now we just need to sew up our seams up the top there. So I finished off, and you're going to want to leave about a 12-inch tail, and just threading it through the loop here. Just want to pull tight so that it's secured at the end there, and then grabbing our needle we are going to sew up our seam.